All right. Hello, everybody. Good evening, good day. Um, Depending on your time zone, I trust you all are doing well. Today is day two of our GitHub workshop. Yes, yesterday we learned about, introduction to Git. What is Git, and why are we using GitHub, and why is it special? What does it have to offer? And today we are going to take one step further into Git basics. So yesterday, the instructor advised everyone to install Git on their different operating systems, and I would like to think that you are able to do it. Mhm. And this session will be longer, definitely. And we have our instructor here today, Mr. Tochukwu, who is going to take us who is going to take us on Git basics. So stay tuned. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask in the comment section, no, the chat section, yes. And if your camera is turned on, please, for the sake of bandwidth, just turn it off, okay? And your hands, if you want to ask questions, just raise your hands up. And yeah, I think the course shall begin now, Mr. Tochukwu. The floor is yours.
Okay, thank you, Francis. Good evening once again to you all. My name is Tochukwu, and I am a human being, right? So that's a pretty basic introduction of myself. Today, I am opportunity to be the one that is going to take this workshop on GitHub basics, Git basics. So, confirm you can see my screen and you can hear my voice clearly, please. You can react. Yeah, thank
Yes,
you.
sir.
Okay, cool. So yesterday the instructor, I believe, did a lot about telling us what Git is all about and GitHub, about telling us what the definition and what it's used for and all this stuff. So today we'll be practicing some basics and how we can start using Git in our projects. So on the screen here we have the first page, which I will go on. So the table of content for today, it's not much. So we have the local versus remote repos. And by the way, a repo, as we will see, is a repository. Just before I go on, I want us to know that this will be kind of an interactive session. So I might drop some questions along the line, and I expect one or two or three persons to answer, right? That is, you have to unmute yourself and answer. So to make the session lively. Okay, so the second one we have is Git init and basic workflow. Then the third one is viewing history. The fourth one, connecting to GitHub. Then the fifth one is hands-on practice. So it's going to be a fun session and a very lively one. So let's all be prepared. And I hope you have your notes and writing materials available. Okay, so quick recap from yesterday, which I said earlier, it was about understanding Git and GitHub and setting it up. And I hope all of us have our GitHub accounts ready, right? If you have your GitHub account ready, just leave a reaction. If you created your GitHub account already, okay, good, nice, that's okay. So I have an icebreaker question just to start the day. So imagine Git, as we know it, could save one memory from this week, although the week just started. But if it could save one memory for you, what will you commit forever? Anyone can maybe indicate, raise your hand if you want to answer to that. If Git could save one memory from this week, what would you want to commit forever? If you're shy to pick up the mic, you can drop your answer in the in-call messages. Anyone? Your undying faithfulness. Wow, that's nice, Peter. Faithfulness to who? To God or to your mom or to your girlfriend? Who? Oh, to Git. Oh, that's interesting. Oh, I bet Git will be excited to hear that you have an undying faithfulness to it. Okay, thank you for that. Oh, you commit the memory of. Oh, oh, okay. Your Sunday service on 31st. I bet it was very, very hot. Good health and longevity of family. That's interesting. That's interesting. Okay, these are nice ones. So moving on, we have the first question of the day and the first topic of the day, which is what is a repository. So I will send in these slides after this session. So from my definition, a repository is simply a project folder that's tracking. Now, why I explain this way is because that's just what it is, right? It's a project, right? So what makes it a repository is a GitHub repository actually is because Git is tracking it. But otherwise, it's a project folder on your computer, right? It contains all the files and the full history of changes. This history is related to Git because normally a normal folder on your system, on your computer, can't really track file changes or folder changes. So what Git does for you is it tracks the changes you make to your files and your folders, the changes you make on your project. So that's it. Then there are two types of repos. We have the local repository and the remote repository. So the local repository is the one that lives on your computer where you do your actual work. That is the folder on your computer. If you create a folder now on your desktop or on your documents and maybe initialize a project, maybe HTML, CSS, JavaScript, just basic project, that becomes a local repository. And you can perform Git actions on that folder without having to connect to internet or anything, just by having Git installed on your system. And I also hope that we all have Git installed on our systems. If you want to confirm if you have Git, you can type git-d, or you can copy the command from the chat messages. So if this thing returns a version number, that means you have Git installed. If it doesn't or throws an error, it means you have to fix it up, maybe reinstall it, or if you are having any problems, you can bring it up here and then we'll help you. So that's about local repositories. Then a remote repo is one that lives on GitHub or another server where you can back up your work and share it with others. So we can see the relationship between the two of them. The local repository lives on a PC, like your computer or machine, right? Then the remote repository lives on GitHub. So you can move this local repo to GitHub and then it becomes a remote repo. Now, moving on, we'll find out how to actually do all these things. But I would like to know if anyone is confused. Yeah, I wanted to ask before we started this thing, but I forgot. Thank God I remember now. I saw someone mentioning in the group that they got confused while some people were asking some advanced advanced questions yesterday. So if you are the one, or if you are someone like that, you can drop your question in the income messages and we'll help you out. Okay. Yeah. So moving on, we will see how to set up a local repository, right? It's quite easy, not so hard. Yeah. So in your face right now, we have a code snippet, right? Please confirm you can see this code snippet. It contains 3 lines. Okay, thank you. 3 lines of code or commands. So these commands are what you run in your terminal, and I'll be sharing my terminal pretty soon. I just want to run through the slides and then we get our hands dirty. So these 3 commands are what we are going to be using frequently on your local repository. And these 3 commands work on local repos without having to connect to the internet or have a remote repository. So the first one we have is git init, and init is the short form of initialize, right? So this command initializes a local repo. So what it does when you run this command is, I said you can do it without having internet connection. So what it does is when you run it in the project directory, it sets up a Git template, right, for you in that directory. Now, how it does that is because you have Git installed. So if you don't have Git installed, it will probably return an error. So, but here, when you run it and you have Git installed, it will set up a tracking system, Git tracking system on your project, and it stores it in a file, a hidden file actually. The name of the file is often .git. So you won't see it on your project tree, on your file. It's there, or turn on hidden files. So it's there. And this .git file is very essential when you're working with GitHub on GitHub, because when you delete it, you lose track of everything you have done, everything, and I mean everything. When you initialize it again after deleting the first .git file, you are starting afresh, right? So this is a file you don't want to mess with when you're working. Okay, I hope that's understood properly. Now, the second one is the git add with angle braces of file name. Now, this command is used to add files to the Git repo, right? Originally, you have your files in the project, but then they are not synchronized with the template or the tracking system that Git set up for you after running the Git init. So when you run git add, it now adds the files you include in this file name. Maybe if you have index.html, what you are going to run is git add index.html, depending on the directory or the location of the file. So when you do that, it tells the Git tracking system there that, okay, this file or this folder should be added to the tracking record, right? So you can now start tracking this file. These are the files that you are going to be tracking. Hofa, is there a problem? You typed AWO. Okay. So you can add as many files as you want, and you can add all files, right? So that's it for the git add. Then the next one is git commit. Git commit with a -m and a commit message. Now this git commit is telling you that, okay, let's say you have a maybe accounting. Okay, let me just use this illustration. It's kind of funny, but you're counting a bag of rice. As funny as it may sound, you're counting a bag of rice, seed by seed. So you want to keep track of the seeds you have counted. So you count up to like a million or 2 million, and then you have to maybe put a demarcation between the ones you have counted and the ones you have not counted. So when you put that demarcation, you can maybe put a label on the ones you have counted and say, okay, this is 2 million, and this one I've not counted it. When you come back, you can continue from there, and then you can start adding. This is kind of related to what Git commit does. It tells Git the tracking system. Remember, we are still on local here. It tells the tracking system that this is where I stopped, and this is a message of what I did up to this point. So save this as my current status now, the current status of the repo now. So this is what you're going to, maybe the message is now what you're going to save it as. Maybe you added a CSS file, or you added a line of code, or 1,000 lines of code, depending. So you say, I added so, or I did so. That's it. And one thing to note is that your commit message actually helps you along the line. I'll explain that. So when you implement a feature in your code or your project, and then you commit it, maybe you commit it with like maybe SK or J and just random characters. If you want to revert, if you want to like go back, maybe you made a mistake sometime in the future, or you just wanted to go back and see how things were, you may find it hard to locate that commit message, right? If you don't know how to like use it very well, if you don't know how to use Git very well, you may find it hard to locate that commit message, and you just end up maybe deleting the old stuff or starting afresh, right? So it's very advisable to use descriptive commit messages, and there are some tricks. Maybe I'll get to show you after this whole slide. So there are some ways you can help yourself or help the team you're working with your commit messages, and also help your pull request. Maybe you talk about that in a later workshop. So this M signifies that you are making a commit message, this stuff, this commit message here. Okay, the next one is about viewing history. So history, just like I said, is okay. I didn't explain history initially. What I explained was the tracking system. So is history is like self-explanatory, but in this case, it's a log of every change that have been made to that repository. Right? It's a log that Git keeps for every change that you have made. So if you add a file and you commit it, yeah, keep note every committed change. Okay, every committed change. If you didn't commit it, or if you didn't add it, if you didn't commit it, in short, if you didn't commit it, you are not informing it of the change. So it will just be there. The change will be there, quite all right, unless you delete it. But if you didn't commit it, Git will know what you actually did. It will just be there. And when you log your history, you won't find that change there. In that case, you might be confused or something like that. So the first one is Git log, which will bring out a detailed history of what you have done so far, the changes so far in your project. Then the Git log with a flag of one line. This one brings out a concise history. Now you see a note I attached to this slide. When you run Git log, it can display a long list of commits, depending on the project history, depending on how far you have gone. Yeah, the slides will be available after the section today. So this Git log, if you have worked so far, so long on the project, the Git log might take, I'm talking like 3 pages or 4 pages, depending on how far you have gone in the project, right? So that's about viewing history. We'll see all this in practice after talking about it. And before I move on to the next one, I'm of the belief that we all tested out how to create a GitHub repo. If you did that, please leave a reaction. If you created a repo yesterday or today, depending, please leave a reaction. Let's know. Okay. I see 4 people, only 4. So the others, you didn't create a repo, you didn't try it out. Okay, interesting. Well, if you didn't, that's no problem. We would also try that out today also, because the next one we are going to is how we can actually bring this our local repo, which we are working on, and upload it to GitHub, kind of. That's a simple term. So we are bringing this repo, this project folder, and uploading it to GitHub in simple terms, but that's not actually what is happening, right? So that will bring about the next slide, which is connecting to GitHub, the remote connection. Okay, now here, before you get to this point, you must have created a repository on GitHub. Now, a repository on GitHub is just like the first definition, but on GitHub is a folder on GitHub. I think admins will say about yesterday's slides and recordings. Okay, just reach out to one of them. Sorry about that. So I said before you get to this stage, you must have created a remote project folder. Okay. Oh, okay. Now I get your message. Okay, to see how to create the repo. Oh, okay. We'll touch that. We'll touch that in a minute. When we are done with the slides, we'll talk about how to create a repo and all this stuff. Don't worry. Okay, that by the way. After creating the repo, you'll get a link depending on the method you want to use. You get a link that shows you this is the directory on GitHub where this folder, this project folder is located, right? Now you can now paste that link inside this template. The position of this template where they wrote URL, this one, let me mark it out. This one, that's where you're going to paste the link to the GitHub repo you just created on GitHub. So when you paste that link, you hit the enter button, you run the command, and what it does is in that Git tracking system that you have, remember we have a Git tracking system on our local machine, right? By initializing it using git init, right? So what this first command does is, okay, what this command does is it adds the URL which you inputted as the origin, the remote origin. Just I think the name is quite saying it all. So it gets remote add origin. So it tells the tracking system, local tracking system, that okay, this is the origin. This is where eventually this user wants to publish this project folder. This is where you're going to publish it to, right? So this is the origin of the remote repository, remote project folder. That's what it tells the tracking system, and it saves it, right? You can add multiple, but the difference will be this stuff here. Let me use a smaller marker. So you can't have two URLs for one, or you can't have two origins, right? You can't have two different URLs for origin. Now, if you want to add, let's say you're working, let me give an example. Now, I'm working on this project, but I want, let me say I'm working on an open source project, but I want to also save that open source project to my own personal repo. Now, let's say for instance, I pushed, maybe I added the open source repo in this URL. Now, after doing what I did there, I wanted to now add my own repo, but still work on both of them. You can change, you can remove the, you can do like repeat this command, this git remote add, but then here you won't put origin again. That is if you used origin initially. The name here must be unique. So here you now add maybe your own repo or any other thing here, then input the URL. So now when you now log your status, that you have two both repos. That will come later. I don't It's like confusing now, but it's just an example I'm giving. So the next one after adding the origin is pushing it. And remember, before you push, you must have added. Adding means here, this one here. You must have added the files that you want to push to GitHub, right? And remember what I said, you can add as many files as you want, and you can exclude as many files as you want. So if you are working on a project where you don't want to, maybe you have some videos in the project and you don't want, maybe like Nigeria, you don't have enough data to upload the videos, right? So you can escape those videos, you can exclude them from the files which you are going to upload to GitHub. And then only the files which you added, right, are going to be uploaded when you run this push, this one. Okay. So now when you run this push, you can see some flags we have here. Now this push at initial, like during when you're running it for the first time, you use your local project folder, you would need to set an upstream, or you specify the branch which you are going to push that project to, those files to. Now here in this -u, this -u here you're seeing, it tells the tracking system to set an upstream to the origin main. Now this flag here, it tells it to set an upstream. Upstream is so that even when you don't add any other thing after push, it knows that this is where you're pushing it to. I guess I have to use my pen. Let me just color. So this one, don't mind my arrow. Okay, so this one here, it tells the tracking system that, okay, set the upstream to the following these ones, following location. So and in this case now we have origin, which is the name of the remote location you added initially. And then this one, the main here you are seeing, let me use another color. The main you are seeing here is the name of the brand where you are pushing it to. So you are telling the Git tracking system essentially, the main branch is the origin I told you about, which is the one here, right? So this main branch is located in the origin location I gave to you. Then set the upstream as that main branch, so that when I want to push again, it just go there directly, right? I hope you understand what I explained there. If you understood what I explained there, just leave a reaction. If you didn't, leave a thumbs down. If you did, leave a thumbs up. Wow. Wow. A lot of people didn't understand. Okay. God. I would appreciate if you leave a message of the part you don't understand, so I'll know whether I should start from the first command and then go down to the second, or maybe it's just the second you didn't understand. What part exactly? Origin main. Okay. Okay. Let's say you bought some goods. Fine. You joined now. Wow. That's interesting. That's interesting. Okay. Okay. Let me start from the first command. Fine. After the session, you can get the recording from the admins, but they will provide it. The URL is the URL to the online, the remote project folder that you created, the remote repository that you created. That's what the URL is. I would demonstrate how to get all these things later. Don't worry. Okay, so from beginning, the git remote add origin URL is telling remember we had a git tracking system locally. So you are informing that tracking system that I want to add an origin, a remote location, right, to this folder, to this project. And the URL, the location is the URL that you put here in the URL tag, right? So that's what you're telling it in the first command. And remember that this URL is unique resource location, right? So it's like a location you're giving to the Git tracking system, essentially. So you're telling it that this is where the online repo, the one that is online, the remote repo is. So this is where it is. And for those that are joining, let me just say it again. There are two types of repos, local and remote. We talked about local repo, which is the project folder on your system, right? And then we are in the remote repo, remote project folder, anyone, which is the one that is stored on GitHub online in an online server. I hope the first one is understood now. What was that? Benjamin. Franklin, I hope you understand it now. Do you? Okay. What about you, Franklin? Okay. So we're moving on to the second one. After adding the repo, after adding the location, after telling it the location, let me use this story again. So yesterday, this story is hypothetical for reference sake. Yesterday, my container landed, right? And some guys came to offload it for me. It was filled with cartons and cartons of goods and stuff. So I told them in this first command that this is the location where the warehouse is, right? So this is where they're going to be parking it. Yeah, it actually landed hypothetically. So I told them this is where the warehouse is located at number something something street, something something avenue, so on. Now, the second command, I now tell them that in a room in this location, in this warehouse now, there is a room there. That is where I want to default, by default. Anybody that brings a carton should go to that room directly and place it. So anytime you bring a carton, you are going to that room directly and placing it. Understood? So this is what the git push, just like pushing the carton to that room. The room is the main, which is a branch in this instance. In our case now, is a branch. And then the origin is this location you gave it in the first one. Omed, please, for network sake and for the good of everyone here, please, can you turn off your camera, please? Thank you. Omed Chikwadom, I think, yeah. Okay, so moving on. The git push command, as I just explained, takes the files that you have on your local repo and moves them to, not move, kind of, it copies them, it copies the files and uploads them to the remote repository, which you specified in the first command. And using that instance I gave now, the -u. Now the -u is actually a short for this command I'm typing in the text. So you just look out for it. So the -u is a shortcut for this flag, which I just pasted. I pinned it. I pinned this thing, the flag, so you can see it. That's what the -u stands for. It's a shortcut. Set upstream. So it sets the upstream by telling the offloaders that this route where you are going to be parking it by default. So even if a new offloader comes, that's where he's going to be parking his own. So every time you push without setting an upstream, that's where you're going to park it, right? Okay, if it's Nachi, I think you are just joining, right? Or have you been here all this while? Well, Kind of write out your question. When I'm done going through this slide, then the floor will be open for questions, right? Then we now go into practicals. So when after setting this stuff now, because in a future class, in a future workshop, you're going to learn about branches and how they work and how you can branch, you can create branches and stuff. So when you start having multiple branches, you can actually push to different branches based on what you are working on, right? So in that case, maybe in the first instance, you set your upstream to main, right, which is the first branch. Yeah, this main is a template name, which is like some people, their repos start as main, some people theirs start as master. Mine start as master. It depends on preference, it depends on the repo, the major repo you're using. So in some cases, it might be master. In that case, you use git push -u origin master, right? If you want, you can use git push -u origin Tochukwu, anyone, depending on the name of your main repo. And the main repo I'm talking about now is the one in your remote location, not the one, because this branch name should match the one in your remote location. And I would show you how to check for the name of the branch in your local repo before actually running this push command, right? And if I forget, kindly remind me, right? That will be when we start the practicals, okay? So if you have another branch that you want to push to and you have done this thing, the second command, you have done it before. Let's say I have another branch which is like login. Maybe I have a branch for login feature. What I will do when I want to push to that branch is git push origin login. So I won't set an upstream again because it's a branch, a separate branch. It's not the main thing. So the main branch is the one that you have to set an upstream for. But other branches, you don't need to set an upstream for it, right? Setting an upstream essentially tells the tracking system that whenever I don't provide the location and the branch name, this is where you're going to keep the code, right? So if I don't tell you, place it in the other room, this is the room you're going to place it. But if I tell you place it in the other room, then you are going to place it in the other room. Understood? I hope I was able to convince you, but not confuse you. I hope I clarified this now. Okay, thank you. So next up, we have questions and answers. So your questions, and I will take Ife Sinachi's own first. If you have any questions, you can leave it in the message box. I'll be taking them as they come in. So the question is, in a situation where I have multiple items and I want to add some of the items, but not all. How do I go about it? Okay, this question is, I tossed it initially, so it's related to this slide, right? If it's not, I hope you are paying attention. Okay, so the arrow pointed at this command. It's telling us that this command now is used for adding files. Let's say, for instance, I have 3 files in my project. I have index HTML, I have CSS, and I have JavaScript. So these 3 files. But then I don't want to add the other files or folders that I have, which are the video or the pictures, right? Or maybe some environment variables. We'll talk about that. Also remind me about this. So I don't want to add those files. In this git add, what I will do is I would type git add, then with space, I'll include index.html with a space again, style.css with a space again, then script.js. These 3 files are the only files that are going to be added. But if you don't want to type all of them one by one, there's a file, a special file for omitting files. It's kind of crazy. A special file that is telling the Git tracking system, okay, these are the files that you're going to omit. These are the files that you're not going to add to the remote repo, no matter what. So the name of this file is gitignore. And it's actually a special file, right? Because it comes with a dot. It comes with a dot, a prefix, dot gitignore. So inside this file, you specify the locations, the directories of the folders or files you don't want your online repo to contain. Okay, I hope I answered your question, Ifesnachi. And I answered yours, Chinedu, where you asked if there's a situation where you have origin master. Yeah, I answered this. Then Hufa, what happens if origin is omitted on the first and second command? I believe you're talking about this slide. Well, okay, you're welcome, Ifesnachi. Okay, so in the first command, if you omit origin, like I said, this origin is a name, right? And like every other name, it can be replaced. You can replace this origin with any other name. And why I started like this is, if you omit origin per se, let's say you use something like git remote add hofa, right? And then you don't add any other command after that. Git will throw an error. It will show you a warning that specify the URL. The chain of commands, they are after each other. So it expects after the git, you add the remote and then add or remove, which is the third option, add or remove. And by the way, you can remove origin. I didn't mention that earlier. You can remove an origin. You can remove a location, right? So if you added a location before, you can remove it with the same command, but changing add to remove. Now, if you now put another name here where origin is supposed to be, it will assume that that is the name of the location. That is the name you are giving the location. So it will be expecting the next command to be the actual location, right? So if you omit that one, that is when it will now throw an error. But anything you put as the fourth command chain, it will assume that that is the name of the location, right? I don't know if this is clear. Let me type it out so you can see. So let's say I have this command here now. This command is going to throw an error, and the error is going to be that it's expecting another command. It's expecting another command chain after IFA, which will now be me adding something like this to complete it. So when I do this, I pasted now, it will now name this location, which is github.com/username/repo.git. It will now name this location as Hofa. You understand? So it will take it that you want to name your location Hofa. You understand? So origin is not a fixed name per se, but it's an advised name to have. Wait, okay, come to the chat box. That's where I'm typing it. It should be appearing as message. I hope I was able to answer you, Hofa. Give a reaction if I answered your question. Okay, cool. Okay, Chinaza Namani. Honestly, all this talking is confusing me. Okay, don't worry. We are going to touch some code before the class ends. So we are going to actually run some commands, and I hope you all are on your laptop. If you're not on your laptop, if you don't have maybe lights or something, I can give you an advice you can use, which I used initially when I didn't have a laptop. You can run Git commands. You can actually code and run Git commands on your phone, but that will come later. Let me pause for now. So we move over to Chinedu again. So I had a situation with my team when I was trying to push to the remote repository and I wasn't pushing. So I had to resort to using Git force push. And the disadvantage was oh my god. Okay. Um please, friends, uh this Git force push, right? Huh. Well, I think the name itself tells you what it does. So it does like this second line, this second command here, it's two way of telling you, okay, carry this box down. But this force, what it does, it uses force. It brings 2 by 2, carry 2 by 2, and force you to take the box to the other room. And in that case, if you're working in a team like Chinedu, everything you did, like everything, your team, everybody on that branch, right, will be like overwritten by what just pushed. So it's not advisable unless it's the last resort, right? If you have no other option in heaven, on earth, and below the earth, that's when you can use force the first flag, but it's not advised anywhere, right? So, Chedu, I hope you are not kicked out of the team. Not try it again, I beg. Okay, what went wrong? Well, couple things could go wrong. First of all, is conflicts, conflicts in branches, conflict in your file tree. So there are different conflicts that Git encounter. You know that this thing is a tree, right? A tree. So when a tree is growing, you expect it to be growing um, in a linear form, and then at some point it now expands into different branches, right? So if and like just like a tree, a branch can grow out of another branch, right? That's how GitHub is. I wish I could draw. I don't have I don't have drawing skills, but let me try. So we have let me use this question and answer, please. So we have a tree. Oh, sorry, let me reduce the size. We have a tree here. Don't mind my drawing, I'm just explaining something. So this tree now, it started from the root, which is our origin, right? Which is maybe a seed that is here, that it started from. So it started growing and then it grew up to some extent. Then the tree decided, okay, I'm growing big, I should branch out. Now it's created the first branch, right? And then it needed another branch, created the second one. Don't mind my drawing. Don't reference, like, don't even say this is my drawing anywhere else. In short, I'll clean this whole screen after. So as it grows, some branches can grow out of this branch, right? While this branch is still there, right? And some branches can grow out of this one while this one is still here. So in a case whereby this branch that got out of this one wants to now merge with this one, right? There will be conflict. The conflict here is conflict of branches. So where here you see some errors like the head, something head, right? Is not is conflicting with some other head, right? The head is like the first commit made after branching out. So this is a type of a conflict that you can encounter in GitHub, in Git when you are merging. And I guess maybe one of it happened, Chinedu. Maybe that's what happened in your case. But there are other conflicts you can encounter, right? Another conflict you can encounter is, why are you clapping? Why are you drawing? I hope nobody screenshotted that drawing. That's not my drawing. That's not my drawing. That's not my handwriting. So another conflict you can encounter is another conflict you can encounter is maybe someone from your team, or you made a change on the remote repo. Let's say you went online on the GitHub website and you made a change directly to the repository that is online. And then now on your local repo, you wanted to push without synchronizing the changes. Then that will cause an error, that will cause a conflict. Because now the tracking system, remember we have a tracking system. And I didn't mention, okay, I didn't mention that when you run this, where is it? When you run this add origin and push, it also pushes the tracking system, not all of them, but it pushes some information from the tracking system to your remote repository, telling it, okay, this is what I have. Just like two secretaries auditing their reports, right? The first one tells the second one, okay, this is the report I have from this meeting. Second one says, okay, this is the report I have. Then they merge it together. So in the near future, whereby the first one changes something in their report, and then the second one is not informed of that change. When they want to merge it, there will be an error, right? Which they will have to fix, rectify. So that is, and the messages Git provides like not too easy to read messages, but they provide clear messages. Right? If you take your time, if you calm down, you can understand it. But if you're in a haste or if you are under pressure, you won't even understand what they're saying there. But anyways, that's it. So these are types of conflicts you can face. And I don't know the one you faced in your own time. But that's it. Okay, that's the next one. Okay, Shinedu, I hope you understood what might have gone wrong in your own time. The next question is, could the file name be equal to something like, oh, okay, the file name, okay, this is a folder, according to what you pasted here. Sorry, Leopold. Sorry if I'm mispronouncing it. According to the line you pasted here, the file, this is a folder, not a file name, because a file has an extension, right? But this doesn't have an extension, so it's a folder. So in that case, this can also be a file name. It can replace the file name in this slide, right? It can replace the file name, but just make sure that this directory is valid, right? Then again, I notice you are using an absolute directory, an absolute path here. An absolute path is like you're starting from the root of the computer. That is your drive C, right? This wouldn't be necessary if you are running the git command in the same directory as your project. So we'll see that in action, right? So this is valid if you are talking about the project one folder, not file, right? For it to be a file, it has to have an extension, maybe .txt or .bat, anyone, right? I hope I answered the question. So Victoria, which most likely you're not. Okay, maybe he was in branch A. Okay, yeah. Oh, you have screenshot. This is what I'm playing with you. Kingsley, I would hold you responsible for your word. Unlock you too, bro. Bro. Wow. Okay. It's all right. It's all right. I hope we are all watching the same slide. What slide? I'm currently in the setting up your local repo slide. And also, is it advisable to use the terminal VS Code? Yeah, that's what you are going to be using. That's what you are going to be using. So I believe at this point there's no more. I believe there are no more questions, right?
Yes, and sorry, thank you so much. If there are any questions, maybe they can say, because I know you have talked a lot. So if you have any questions, raise your hand and like just raise your hand so that we can call on you to say it. Because Mark has obviously stressed his way. Okay, Hofa is raising his hand. So just raise your hand in the queue, then just start answering, just start asking. So the first person, Hofa. I think he's the first. Yeah.
Okay, Hofa, you're on. The floor is yours. But before you say something, sorry, I want to address something. Admin, please take note of this this chat someone posted here that I'm going to hear from them on LinkedIn. Someone is threatening me in this workshop. And I see my drawing, not my drawing, Sha. If I see that drawing,
You see it on LinkedIn. I've already told them to send it to me. You see it on LinkedIn. So just clear your mind.
okay. So Hofa, the floor is yours, please.
Hello, good evening, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Good evening, Hofa. How are you doing?
Okay, sir. Fine, sir. I just want to know. My question is a form of clarification. If directory are actually called folder, can we equally say that a repository is also a folder? That's my question.
Okay, yeah. Yeah. A repository is a folder. If you notice the first slide, I don't know if you were here when I started. The first slide stated that a repository is simply a project folder, right? It's a folder, just like the one you have. I don't know, maybe the one you used to store your videos or the one you used to store your pictures is a folder. And actually, you can also upload your picture folder to GitHub. But don't try it though. Don't try it. So it's a folder. That's what it is. I hope your question is answered. Okay. So James,
Okay.
you are,
Yeah.
thank you, Victoria. James, are
James,
you
your hand is raised. James. Oh, if he's not ready, let's go to the next person. Okay, thank you.
Mark,
James, you're
Okay,
saying
ask
something?
your
please,
question.
Am I the only one or is he Rogan?
yeah, I wanted to ask, hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay, I had a code at GitHub, and I wanted to push the code. It was there, so I wanted to push another code, but they told me the code, like I created a new repository, so I was creating a code, and they told me the code, it's already a repository already exists. So I went and deleted it, but still they told me it was existing. I wanted to know how I can maybe delete it permanently for me not to be getting those messages back.
Okay,
Please, do
that's
you
your
get
question,
me?
right? Yeah. I would
Yes.
ask some verification questions. So you created a remote repository on GitHub, right? On your account. James.
Right.
James.
Mr. Mark, I'm hearing.
Yeah, I said you created a repo on your account in GitHub on
Yes, sir.
GitHub.
I created.
And then
Yes.
you went ahead to create another one, but it gave you an error. You used the same name, I'm assuming.
Actually, it was there, but I was pushing a code there.
No, when you use the word push and create, they are two different things, right? So
I was
pushing
pushing,
is
I was pushing, I was pushing, I was
you're
pushing.
pushing. I'm assuming now you're pushing from your local repo, right?
Yeah, yes,
And it told you repo already exists.
yes.
I don't think that error will come from your local repo. That error can only come from GitHub in the sense that your local repo, you only initialize the repo on your local that project folder. You can't, even if you run the initialization again, it won't throw an error. You just redo what you did, right? So I'm
Okay,
assuming that the error you got is from your online repo, your remote repo. And what you are going to do to solve that, maybe if there is still time after the whole workshop, we can help you figure that out. But what you can do on your own is to go to your GitHub account, enter the repository tab, and check for the name of that repo there. If it exists and you no longer want it to exist, you can delete it by going to the settings and then deleting it. You'll be prompted to input the name. After that, you successfully delete it. Then you can go ahead and create another repo. Understood?
Okay.
Okay. So the next thing is Leopold. Sorry, bro. Or anyone. I know I'm not doing a good job by pronouncing it. Please,
Okay.
champion.
Okay, thank you for the opportunity. Am I audible?
Kind of. You are kind of audible.
What about you? Audible enough.
Sorry, I
what
can't
I'm
hear.
asking, so what I'm asking, I'm seeing in Visual Studio Code you're having an extension of GitHub. Is it advisable to be using it?
An extension of GitHub on Visual Studio Code Marketplace. Yeah, you can use that, right? Depending on what you are using it for, right?
Yeah,
But
like
majorly, what are you?
pushing,
Sorry?
like in pushing, committing, and stuff.
For the Git, like when you mean GitHub, the name of the extension is exactly this thing I type,
Right.
the GitHub.
Yeah, like Visual Studio Code is having that extension where you just press buttons without going into the console terminal.
Okay, let's do it this way, right?
Hmm.
I would answer your question with a practical of it. So when we start the practicals, I will open the market and try installing that extension you are talking about, and then we'll see you know how to answer the question. How does
Okay,
that
thank
sound?
you.
Okay. So are there any other questions for me before we move on?
I doubt. I think we can head on to the hands-on. So I hope everyone is with their laptop or at least with you're jotting down. Sorry for my voice, but please pay attention because we don't want to be stuck in tutorial hell. So let's pay attention to the hands-on. And even if you're not with your laptop or you're not in a place where you can work, make sure you're jotting down what you're doing, what he's doing, so that you can go back and practice it. And yeah, you can follow on because we still have 4 more days. So yeah, Mark, over to you.
Okay, so I'll be quitting this screen, which is the slide screen, and I think maybe I'll just drop the link after later on. So and then I'll be sharing my Visual Studio link. Okay. So just give me a minute to set things up. Please confirm you can see my screen. Is my screen visible now? Oh, Benjamin, it's visible to you, but it's not visible to me. Did you bribe it? How come? Oh, okay. Okay, interesting. Okay. So here I have my Visual Studio Code, right? And let me just pop out this stuff a minute. Okay, so I have my Visual Studio Code. And in here I have, hold on, so you're not seeing anything yet. Please check your network because it's on my screen. I guess it's on my screen, and I guess most people can see my screen. Please react if you can see my screen, please. Leave a reaction if you can see my screen. Okay. So Tochukwu, so please check your network. Yeah, thank you. Okay, I have my Visual Studio Code open here. And then I have a folder which is the local repo, like I named. So I named it Git Basics because essentially that's what we're talking about today. And then I added a file, which is this welcome text file with nothing in it other than a very friendly welcome text, right? So, and as we practiced earlier, or not practiced, as we talked about earlier, we'll be running through the commands one by one. And then if you have any question, do well to I don't know. I can't keep this on my screen. I don't know why. This tab. I don't know why I can't keep it on my screen. I wanted to pin it. Initially, you could pin it, but I don't know. We recent update. I can't pin it anymore. I wanted to pin it so I can see if you have any questions or something like that. But anyways, if you have any questions, just put it on the message box. When I come back, I would go through them. Okay. So here, the first thing we are going to do is to initialize the repo according to what we learned, right? And this is my terminal. Now, I would enlarge this a little bit. Now, here in my terminal, oh, sorry. Here in my terminal, you can see the directory, which is my root, and then documents, code, and Git basics. So inside this directory, that's where I am. You can confirm from here, Git basics. And I think I can't remember the name of the person that asked the question about the file part. But this is what I wanted to explain to you. Since I'm inside here, and by the way, I'm using Linux, so I'll be running some bash command, which you can run if you have the git bash. You can set once you have git installed, set the terminal from here, right? You can set it to bash, any other one. For those on Windows, you have PowerShell, you have command prompt, and then you have bash if you have git installed. Okay, so this command now lists the files in this directory. So now I have this one. Now, if I want to add,
Someone is saying that you should please zoom in your screen.
oh, my screen.
Also, I want you guys to pay attention because I know some people are like, oh, is it just code? Code, but GitHub is like the home for open source contribution right now. So these commands are necessary for you to contribute with whatever thing material you're storing on GitHub. It could be README files, it could be whatever documentation or write-up or code or whatever it is you're contributing. If you don't want to use the user interface, you're most likely going to use terminal, and that's why you need to learn. So I don't want people to be thinking this is just for code. Okay, thank you. Continue.
Yeah, thank you for that, Victoria. Actually, what he says is legit because you have to learn terminal command. You have to, quite all right. You have to, because at some point you would need to run some commands on the terminal, whether you're a developer or not. I don't know. Designers, I don't know, but just learn it. Okay. So as you can see, I am in the Git basics repo, local repo, and then this is the only file that is here, as you can confirm from here, right? This is the only file. So if I want to add just like question, okay, we'll get to that. So let me just start by initializing the repo. You can remind me the command for initializing repo. Can anyone remember the command for initializing the repo? Oh, nice. Okay. One like I said for you. after you collect it from the admin, tell them it's me that sent you. So git init. So this is the command for initializing a repo. And like I said earlier, what this does is that it sets up the tracking system on this repo. And that tracking system is kind of hidden at first, but I'll show you how you can see it. Right. So I hit it and then you see this. Now, I don't know if you noticed the change. I should be able to. I should be able to pin this thing. I need to be seeing what is happening. But anyways, I don't know. You can't see my screen. The face not see. Hey, problem though. Please, can anyone in the chat see my screen? Can anyone at all
Yes,
see my screen?
you can see it. You can see it, just that it's dark. I don't know what she meant by that. If she
It's
can't
dark.
see it, or,
So you say it's dark. Let me switch to light
don't
mode. I don't like using light mode, Sha, but I'll just do it for this. Hey, Jesus. Hey. Ooh, shit. Oh my God. Okay.
better. Thank you. This is better.
Wow, this is crazy. This is crazy. This is crazy, man. Flashbang, no, be small. Like, this is crazy. Oh my God. Wow. Friends, I don't think I can use this screen this way. Okay, well, I'll also use my brightness. Damn. Okay, let's move on. Let me increase it more. Okay, for those complaining about the zooming, I hope you can see it now, because this a very, 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 very large zoom, which I did here. And I'll just run this command so that I can start afresh.
I can't still see.
What? Someone
I
said
can't
something.
still see your screen. I can't see your screen. I'm just seeing your picture.
You can't
I
see my
can't see your screen. I'm just seeing
How
your
is
picture.
how is the network? How is the network?
Yeah.
If you can't see, please leave and
It's
join
a bit
back.
stable now. Yeah. It's stable.
Just leave
Please,
and join back.
at any point you can see my screen. You can just meeting join back. I think it works.
Refresh your network.
Okay, and another thing is that sometimes it might be from their mobile app. Maybe they can try to update the Google Meet and all that. It should be able to work. Sometimes it happens, and not network too.
Okay, thank you for that. I don't know who spoke, but thank you for that. So you can maybe, I don't know if you can update it in middle of this thing, but if you can't, then please bear with us and you get the recording later. Okay. So here, so we said the command. You all agreed that the command for initializing a repo is git init, right? And what it does is that it sets up the local tracking system on our project, which is Git Basics. And then when I hit it, you see this message. I hope everyone can see it, right? So this message is a hint of, like I said, it's clear. If you're in a haste, you won't read it all. So it's saying using master as the name for initial branch. So this answers your question. I think, what was that? I think Chinedu, who asked the question about master and main. This answers your question. So now it's using master. Like I said earlier, mine is master. My default is master. It's using master as the name for the initial branch. This default branch name, okay, is subject to change. So configure the initial branch name to use in all of your repositories, which will suppress this warning. Call git config flag global init dot blah 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 default branch blah 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 name. and so on and so forth. Okay. So then the message we are going to focus on is this one, which says initialize empty git repository with this directory, right? So this is what we want. And as you can see at the end of it, this is our git file, right? This is our git file. Now, just kind of a disclaimer. You can open this file, you can open this folder, this .git folder. After I will show you how you can see it and then how you can view what is inside. But then I won't advise you to open it if you don't have enough experience or maybe tamper with it. You can open it to view it, but I won't advise you to tamper with anything there, right? Just like they'll say, leave it for the electrician, right? Electrician is you when you have the experience. So leave it for the electrician until you have the experience. So moving on, we have only just one file here. So I'll just add another file so we can experience some things. So there's some boilerplate code here. And then we add another one. Maybe nothing. So we have 3 files now, right? And then if you notice something here, okay, I was talking about this some time back where I asked if you noticed what changed. So you notice this U appended to this welcome text, right? So and you can see the message on track. Now this thing, why it's here is because this file, this welcome.txt was in our folder when we initialized this repo. And now GitHub is telling us that, okay, I met this file here, but I'm not tracking it. It's untracked. It's not in my list of files. I don't have it in my list of files. Now, why it's not appended here yet, maybe some time or something. But if you rerun Git init again, let's try it. You will see all of them having, you should. Why is it not having it? Anyways, that's by the way. You would see it, definitely. You would see all this stuff. So let me close these files to create space. One of each one to drag to the side. Okay, so that's it for the initialization. Remember, if you have any question, drop it in the message box. So the next one we have is including files, so adding files to the system. So command like we agreed on is git add with someone. Shay, you can maybe, I don't know, Victoria, please can you keep track of those raising their hands so that after, or if your question can't wait, if it's something that is like referencing what you are doing at this moment, then you can go ahead and speak. But if your question can wait, maybe just indicate with a number, then Victoria can take note of it after the rest of attend to your question.
Jay, is your question immediate? If not, just drop it in the chat so that we don't waste more time.
It is immediate, ma.
Okay,
Okay,
ask
go ahead.
please.
Okay, ma. My question goes thus. I want to ask that this terminal, is it for the Git or for the VS Code? Because I don't understand.
This terminal, this one?
Yes, sir.
This one, I mean. This terminal is for VS Code. It's VS Code.
Okay, sir.
Okay. Okay. I think he left us.
Thank you, sir.
Well, you're welcome. Okay, so you, like I said, it appeared here. So it was a time stuff. So this is now telling us that these 3 files are untracked, right? They are untracked. So GitHub doesn't know anything about them. They are untracked. Now we can add them. Sorry, we can add them by specifying their names, right? And you can add some and leave some, just like someone asked. I think so far, I don't know who asked. I can't remember who asked the question, but we'll see it in action here. So I want to add styles. I want to add the style and the HTML, but I don't want to add the welcome. I want to add this two, but I don't want to add this one. So I'll just simply type index.html style.css. And when I hit enter, GitHub will take note of these two files. Not GitHub, sorry, Git. Git will take note of these two files, but it will still leave this one untracked. Now, you see their labels changed to A. And let's see what that A means. Index added. So it means that, okay, these goods have been, like, they have been taken into record. We know about them now, so we can now start tracking them. So if you make a change to them, you now see that. Let's even try it. Why are you talking? We are here for practical. So let's say I add a set style. Let me collapse this a little bit. And I save. Now you see that it changes to M. Now M means modified. And at this point now, Git is telling us that, okay, I've started taking record of this file. So any change you make, I will give you an update. So it's telling us that this file has been modified. You can also do that one here. So I save again, change to modified. So you can see how it works now, right? So these are the two stuffs, the two labels. I think three. We have seen three labels now, right? We have seen the untracked, we have seen the added index, and we have seen the modified. When you move on, I think maybe you touch that here. You see other labels that you can have. Because of time, I'll just maybe let's just move on. So the next one is the commit. Remember that we didn't add this file. We didn't add this file yet. So I would commit, and for here now I'll use, now you can use this single quotes or you can use double quotes, but in anyone you use, well, I will advise you use double quotes, because when you use single quotes, if you are typing something like this, you confuse GitHub. Why am I saying GitHub? You confuse Git because you think that this one is where your comment is dead.
Leopold, is the question urgent?
Okay. Am I audible? So I'm asking, yeah, just remained with A. I'm having my index.html is having A. So I want you to explain again how we modified it, then it became M. That's it.
Oh my God. My God. I'm so sorry. Thank you, Salia. Thank you. Oh my God. And I've been here talking. Okay. So I said, Leopold, that I changed this thing from document to Git basics, and then I saved the file. So Git recorded a change in the file, so it marked that file as modified, which means that I have maybe tampered with the file, modified the contents of the file. I hope that's clear. That's cleared your question now. So moving on. Yeah, about the commits, right? So when you use this kind of single quotes, Git gets confused when you use apostrophe again. So it's advisable to use double quotes, right? So I'm going to use double quotes here, and I'm not going to type don't. Sure. I'll just type initial commit. Okay. So this is like maybe the default first commit message, unless you have built something huge on the project before. But you can just use this initial commit and start off the whole stuff. So, and I'll hit enter. So you see the message, master root commit, and this is the commit code. So in your file tree, you can search for a commit. That will be later. They'll explain how this whole thing works. You can search for a commit by the commit code. So initial, this is the commit message, right? Then it shows you how many files changed, right? 2 files changed, 9 insertions, and then the whole stuff here, create mode, blah blah blah, index, and blah blah blah. So now we have committed this file. Now, due to some, I don't know, some things, the file are still showing us modified. But with time, just like the other one, with time it will remove. It will, this modifier will not be here again. It should clear off. Let me see if I can make that happen faster. I'm coming. I don't know. Let me refresh. This stuff shouldn't be here again. The label shouldn't be here because we have committed. It will go out by itself with time. Just give it a little time. So now we are done with the what we need to do in the local repo, right? We have saved our work. We have saved our changes to the local repo. And now when we eventually push to the remote repo, our changes are saved and stored. So we don't have anything to fear unless we delete the Git folder. Now, moving on to the remote repo, we can set it up. Where is it? Okay, so you can go to github.com/new. That's a shortcut I learned. Right? So this opens a new page for a new repository in your account. So, and you can give the repo a name. So I'll just write GitHub basics. What's the name for the other one? GitHub basics. Okay. And it tells me GitHub basics is available. So for the person that was complaining that it was showing an error, let's say if I have a portfolio repo already. So if I do this, it should show me that portfolio already exists in this account, right? Because I already have a repo like that. I don't know if the person is still in this call. This is where you can get this kind of error, the error you mentioned earlier. Other than that, I don't see why GitHub should be throwing an error like this terminal. Okay, so back to what we had before. Okay, so now I'll create the repo, and there are some options I can select here, which I would leave as default yet. So the first one is the visibility, and mind you can add the description. Anyone? What's this? Okay, no. So you can add descriptions and then choose visibility, public or private. I'm believing that you you now know what the difference between public and private means. And you can wait. I'm talking with professionals here, sef. You can create repo now. You touched about creating repo yesterday. So I am safe with that one. So moving on, moving on, you hit the create button and then you create the repo. Now we have the repo. Now here is the location I was talking about. This one here. That's the location I was talking about. So you can copy it. When you copy it, you go back to your code. When you go back to your code, who remember the command for adding the remote location? Someone? Anyone? Hmm? No one. Wow.
Get remote add origin URL.
Sorry, I can't hear you. Someone is speaking.
Get remote add origin and then you insert the URL.
Oh, nice. Who was that? Who said that? I didn't see your pop-up. Anyways, one like I said for you too. So later you and Uche, or if you are Uche, then two like I said. So that's it. So she said it's remote add origin URL. I pasted the URL to the stuff. Okay. So once I hit enter, it records it, and you won't see any major change, right? So nothing. It just records it, so it doesn't make any change. And then for the person that asked the question about omitting the origin, let me remove this origin. Then hit remove. Sorry, I think I misplaced the. Oh yeah, the link, the location is not required here. So yeah, this is the code. Sorry, this one. So when you are removing, you don't need to include the URL, the location. So you just need to add the name of the location. So this is the name. You are telling me that save this location here now. Save this location with this name. So I removed it now. I'll just play my terminal. So when I now do git both add, I think it was so far, yeah, it was so far that I asked that question. Now you see the error. You see, where is my cursor? This light mode is doing something to my eyes. Okay. Git remote add options. Now the options you have is name and URL, right? So you provided only the name without the URL. So this is the error. It's thrown at you. I hope that's clear now. Okay, yeah. So moving on, git remote add origin. Origin, then enter. Now we are now good to go to the next command, which is what? Who can help us? Next command. Anyone? No one. Git push. Just git push. Is it just push? Well, let's go to see.
I think you.
So git push is just a fatal error. So a fatal error. Someone is speaking. See, you're saying something.
Yes, sir. I say git push -u origin main.
Sharp. One like I said for Shay. So the origin is the name, and then the main is the branch. But in this case, remember that we have a branch, and it's the name. The name is not main. Oh, I see. You must have taken the expo that Git provided for us. Sharp guy. You saw this thing, right? You saw this thing here. Ah, sharp guy. Well, if you didn't take the expo, then maybe you're even sharper. But if you took the expo, kudos. So Git already provided the solution and said we should use this. So it's set upstream, just like what I said earlier, set upstream, which is -u. So you can copy this. You can type it out by yourself, anyone. So this is it. And then when I hit push, it will, well, let me not explain the magic. Let me just allow the magic to happen. Okay, so what happened here? Enumerating objects 4 done, counting objects 4/4 done, data compression using blah 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 blah. Total reuse package to now here to where? So our remote URL, to our remote location, and then you see the new branch. Now this thing here, take note of this. You see that this is the local, right? This is remote. It's showing you that it pushed this local master to remote master. Now, if eventually or mistakenly my remote branch name was main, it will definitely throw a conflict, and a conflict that master does not match me here. So this is what under should take note of. I think Chinedu, what that is an error that might have happened in your own time, your own work. I don't know why this thing is still not changing. It should have changed by now. Trust me. And I shouldn't even see any flag on these two because I've pushed. I don't know what. Well, let me just leave it for now. So next thing is to confirm actually. So by coming here and refreshing, once we reload the page, we should see our two files, index and CSS. So by what's it called? Abracadabra. Oh, is that the name? So our two files appeared here. You can see them, right? So wait, that was 11 minutes ago. Wow, time flies fast. Okay, so now we move on to the next one, which is stuff, our Git log, which is showing the history, right? Now, if I hit this, just like I said, it will bring out a whole lot of stuff. But for this tutorial, this workshop, which we don't have much, we have not done much, just few commands, we can control that. Now, it shows you this record that it took, which is this one, this commit stuff, master, origin master, the author, which is me, and then the date, which was with the action was taken, is today by this time, blah blah blah, and then the commit message is initial commit. Okay. Now, who can tell me the command for getting this thing, the concise log? Anyone? The flag actually. Oh, say online. Online. Well, let me just continue it. It's one line. Yeah, one line. So git log one line. I'm coming. I typed online. Okay. So it's just one line. Guys, so you see it's shortened. It's not like this. You see that it shortened the whole stuff, the commit, this thing, and put them in one line, thereby cutting out the stuff, the details. Okay, so that's it about history, and I think that's it about it. Oh yeah. So this one and one other thing, which is toxicity. I mentioned this file, right? I mentioned it earlier. I told you that it's the file that records the files of directories or folders that you don't want Git to keep track of, right? So this is the file where you are going to put it. And how you are going to put that? You can start with a comma and a comment, which in this case is a hashtag sign, right? And then you can type in maybe what you want. Let's say .txt files, and then you can go ahead and put welcome.txt. Now make sure that this file, now you notice that I'm not adding any slash or dot slash or anything before this one, and that's because this file is at the root. Like this now, it won't do anything. It will target this file, to target this one. But if this is in another directory, another folder, maybe a subfolder, then you have to specify it. Let's say we have the public slash welcome text, and then so on and so forth. That's how I'm going to maybe invariables, and then you can input any stuff here. Okay. Now, saving this file, you notice something that happened. Notice that this stuff had no tag again. The label got lost. Now, that's because this file now tells GitHub. Now, why am I using GitHub? Now tells Git that, okay, I want to exclude this file from what you're tracking, what you're keeping track of. So I don't need you to keep track of this one again. Right? And Git obeys and records that. So it doesn't keep track of this again. Whether modified or added or anything, it just leaves it like that. And it's important because when you start working on projects that require environment variables, the environment variable should be here, should be in your gitignore file, because it will be touchy, it will be bad if you push your environment variables to your GitHub. There are some people that actually need the environment variable more than you do, and they are too quick to make use of it at the slightest chance they get. Okay, so it's important to keep note of this file. Don't delete it from your code if you see it. If you like the folder you're working on has it already, don't delete it, just leave it. Okay, and then I guess that's this way. Okay, when you delete this file now, when you delete this, sorry, not file, this line here, and we save the stuff, you see that we get our stuff back. We get our untracked back, right? And then GitHub start taking track of it. But then remember that we don't actually have it on our GitHub record. GitHub just knows that it is not tracking this file, but it doesn't know what is actually doing, what's actually happening to the file, right? So add it. Now in this case, what I want to do is I want to add everything, right? I want to add everything in my folder, in my directory. So what I'll just do to save me the stress, just to do git add and then dot. And this dot shows it that add everything that is inside this folder, right? This dot add everything that is inside this folder. So it adds all of them. Now you see that the only ones that have not been added before are now added. Now you can now continue again. Git commit and then added. Now the trick I said I was going to show you. You can use this stuff feet, and then type your commit message. Or now this feat, that feat I wrote now was if you have a feature, if you implemented a feature in the commit, you can use feat. If you did a chore, which is what we did now, you can do chore added dot git ignore. What did I type? Yeah. Dot ignore file. Sorry. And text files. So this is like a descriptive commit message, which will help you along the line. So you can just commit it. Aha, now this thing. You see that the levels are off now. I guess we just achieved it now. So the levels are off. It shows us that our changes have been recorded. Your transaction has been recorded, right? Now you can now push again. Now pushing this time, you don't need to add the upstream or anything. Just hit push, unless you want to create another branch. Just hit push and it will work. Okay, we are good. So this covers the GitHub basics, right? And just one more thing for the person that was asking about the GitHub extension. Let me close this up. I don't know if the person is still in this meeting. Which one of them are you talking about? I don't know which one of them you're talking about. I don't know. The person is not in this meeting. So.
Want to ask a question? Yes.
Okay. Oh, is it the one you're talking about? Please just react. We are running out of time already. Is it hearing me? I said just you can react to the question. Is this one? This one? Is it the one you're talking about? I can't see any reaction. Okay.
Or can you on the mic and say yes or no? Leopold, can you see his screen?
Yes.
Okay, please just comment if this is the extension you're talking about that you were asking about.
Well, in any case, just know that this one is deprecated already, so it's not advised to use it. As you can see, they ruled it over. They had a strike through on it, and then they gave a warning. So for you to achieve what you want to achieve, which is
what about GitLens?
Yeah, that's where I'm going to now. For you to achieve what you want to achieve, you can use GitLens now. Sorry.
Even I had another question about GitIgnore.
Okay, I'll just type it down or save it when I'm done with it. When I'm done with the session, then I'll go back to the meeting chat. So to achieve this thing, all these things we did on terminal, because I know some of us here are afraid of terminal. I won't lie, I was afraid initially, but then I got to love it, and then I built my home there, and now I live in the terminal. So to achieve what we just did in the what's it called in the terminal, to achieve it without having to write command, that is a no code way, you can use this control here. It comes default with VS Code or any other code editor. I don't know about any other one, but I know VS Code, right? It comes so here, let me enlarge this. And for us to see what's actually happening, let me make some changes. Okay, so I made some changes here. Now you already see one change, right? So when you come here, you see the changes. Now here, you can stage. Now another name for adding is staging, right? Once you click on this plus, it normally there will be a list of this place will contain this place now will contain a list of all the changes that they have made, all the files that were modified. So you can add them one by one, or you can just stage all changes, right? And then these are the stage changes, right? Now you can enter a commit message here, or you can ask what's it called, Copilot, which was integrated recently to generate a commit message for you. It does a good job actually. You see? So this that stuff I was telling you about, telling you guys about this stuff. You see it. So we edited the style. So we just flag it with style, add universal box model reset, which is good enough. And then you commit changes on master. Now, once you have committed it, you can now sync it. This syncing now does what? Push one commit to origin master, which is quite simple, right? Throws a warning or a info, click action pull and blah blah blah. Click OK. Yeah, and it does it. It pushes the code. Just simple. I know some of you, let me see. Some of you are happy that you can use this one. Learn the terminal and use the terminal. Don't be happy because you have to start. This one cannot tackle every problem that you have. There are some errors that or some conflict that you encounter. You need the terminal commands. Okay. So yeah, this is the three. Well, that's not what we're talking about today. So I guess we all understood and enjoyed this session. And I'll be coming back to you in the meeting right now. Okay. So let me take your questions one for the other. Any? Okay. Okay. I don't know where I stopped. Where did I stop? Drawing. Okay. Drawing where? I hope you're watching that festival. Okay, you hear from us on. Okay, yeah, that's where I stopped. So not seeing anything yet. Just need to zoom in. Okay. Ubuntu. Oh, yeah, Ubuntu, yeah. So wow, your very good interface. Oh, thank you. Can you please zoom in? Again, is it possible to have widescreen? Oh, you're the one that even asked the question, Uche. Admin, don't give her the Lacasera. Don't even give her the Lacasera. Why would you want me to use light screen? So I use GitHub Desktop. GitHub Desktop is a simpler way. It's an easier way you can use. Like instead of going to the browser, it's just like having a browser in your app, right? So it's not. I don't think it prevents you from doing anything, sure. Okay, getting it. Oh, you actually made the answer that question yourself. So if it's Nachi, Benedicta, and the Prince. Okay, please, what concerns non-developer with Git? If you're a designer, you can store your designs on GitHub. If you're a product manager, you should have GitHub. Like this GitHub is something that helps teams track their projects, right? So if you're a product manager, you should definitely have GitHub. Even if you're just a founder or somebody that has the project, you should have a GitHub so that you can see what your team is building. Okay. Okay. If it's not, I hope you're able to rectify the screen issue and also checking on Igwe. Okay, zoom in. I zoomed in now. No light mode. Okay. Flashbang. Yeah. I don't know how to install to my VS. I was thinking it's cool. Okay, about that. So you go to. I hope you're here, right? Where is you? Are you here? Okay, yeah. Yeah. About installing Git. Let me show you the place you're going to You can download it, or you can install it. If you love terminal, you can install it through the terminal, depending on your OS. So you go to this URL I'm going to paste now. I'm going to paste the URL in the chat box. Or should I? Okay, let's just do it this way. Victoria, are you there?
Yes.
Okay, please, do you have a pen and a paper with you? Maybe you can take down just take down something for me. Or I could just write it somewhere.
I'm not sure
Let me,
what exactly is.
don't worry, let me write it out. Just list of resources to make available in the slide before I send them. I'll just make it a last edit the slide and then add list of where you can get resources like GitHub and yeah. Okay, so Shay, I'll drop it here and then I'll include it in the slide before I send them. You are suing a terminal. You are using a terminal for it. Yeah. Take a simple. Okay. Sorry, I beg to take. Okay. Include. Git. Okay. So no questions. I guess. Try ignoring multiple flies. Oh, yeah. You can try that on your own. I didn't see this on time. Leopold, you can try ignoring multiple files and you see it how it works in magic, right? So thank you everyone. We don't have any more questions. Thank you everyone.
Okay. Okay, thank you guys. Thank you so much, Mark. You really took your time and energy to break down a lot of things. And I'm sure that even people who are tired and everything, even when they listen to this again, this is a very, very beautiful introduction to the basics of GitHub. It was very, very beautiful. I love the questions. Thank you guys for engaging. Thankfully, this call is being recorded, so we're going to upload it to our YouTube channel. From tomorrow we'll be live streaming straight, so we don't even have to pass through that process of uploading. If you have not registered for this workshop, just register. I know it's ceremonial, but just register. Make sure you're registered for it. Tell your friends, tell your people about it. Someone was asking, as I said, as a writer, you're using GitHub is a version control system, but what version are you controlling? It's not what you've stored. So GitHub is used for storing a lot of things, designs, write-up, is used as even a form of a platform for community. That's why we're having this workshop first. We want more people to contribute to open source, but we know that open source, a huge chunk of it is based on GitHub, so we want people to understand GitHub and how to use it. And so just take this, he's applying it to code because that's where he applies GitHub, but take it to any aspect. If you are uploading files there, anything you're doing, you are using GitHub to manage who and who is accessing it. So that's the whole point. So don't take this thing for granted, guys. We're still going to have 4 more days, right? This is the longest workshop I think this is the longest workshop I know that we're going to have for now, unless we have any other surprise workshop. So this GitHub workshop is intense. The other ones will be shorter and they will be more niche. So depending on where you want to contribute to open source, you would, fall into that. So guys, thank you so much. It's already late. We'll send the slides, I think, for day 1 and day 2. And yeah, have a lovely day. See you tomorrow. Bye.